episode of the True Crafting Cruise. So as I promised, I will be showing you guys the basics of Silhouette Studio today. So the first thing that I want you to do is download the software. If you have not already, this is how you download the software. You go to, in your Google search, just type in Silhouette Studio, and Silhouette America will come up, the website, and just click on download software download, or Silhouette Studio, or whatever. So right here, it says Silhouette Studio, and this is the download version. Nowadays, the technology has gotten so good that your computer kind of picks up which software you guys are downloading. So you would just hit this download button, and it would go into here. And I didn't want to do that, so we're gonna stop that download. But anyway, you go there to download the software, and it'll automatically go to your computer which one you have, whether it's the Mac or the Windows version. All right. The other thing I wanted y'all to see are the products. So if you go here, these are the different Silhouette Cameo products that you can, or Silhouette products you can purchase. The Cameo is the one that I have. I just use it basically a 12-inch Cameo, which is the Cameo, or the 15-inch Cameo. No, which one I have? I think I got a 12. I have the 12-inch Cameo. I don't even have the 15. I have the 12-inch in black that I love dearly. I also had a white one that I just gave away the other day, but this pink one looks nice also. But anyway, this is the Cameo, and it's only $3.99. So, I mean $2.99, so $300 if you guys were interested in buying that. But about the software, let's go to the software. After it's downloaded to your computer, go through all of the prompts, you will get a screen that looks similar to this one. I have the designer edition, so the free version looks slightly different than mine. So don't be alarmed if you don't have all of these tools that are on my right hand side. It's okay. You can definitely upgrade. Like if you like the software, I would suggest you upgrading to get some of the other perks. They have the regular edition that comes with it that's free, that works very good. But they also have the designer edition, which is this is the edition that I have. And then they have the Designer Plus edition. And the Plus allows you to do things like, if you have embroidery software, it allows you to import embroidery files and stuff like that. And then the business edition has a couple more upgrades like that I don't have. For instance, which I'm gonna upgrade to the business edition. But the business edition has like where you can save as an SGV file. And then I can, like, let's say y'all got a Cricut or something, I'll be able to send my design to you. So anyway, let's get started on the basic tools. The first thing that I always tell people when I'm teaching this class is page setup. On this right-hand corner at the top, there's a thing that looks like a little piece of paper. It says open page setup panel. So we're gonna click onto that. And don't be afraid to plug and play as needed. What I mean by that is stop my video, pause it, do it on your screen. You get what I'm saying? Don't be afraid to do that and then play again. If it's something that you already have, fast forward through my video and get to what you need. Don't be afraid to do that. All right, so now that we're at this page setup screen, it has right here the Cameo 4. I told you that's the machine that I use. And then the next thing it has is your cut mat. I always cut on 24-inch cut mats. If you don't, by all means, change it. A lot of people like to cut on this 12 by 12 cut mat. And you see how it changed if you look at the screen, it changed it to the 12 by 12. But I always cut, and this is me, I cut on a 24-inch cut mat. And then my paper that I sell in my store is always a 12 by 19 and a half. So this is normally how my screen looks. What I suggest is, if whatever size paper you're using, I suggest you make your paper the size of your screen. What I mean by this is, if you have a piece of paper that's 8.5 by 11, that's a standard sheet of regular printer paper, I would change my settings to 8.5 by 11. 8.5 by 11. And I'm just pressing enter. You see what that did, guys? That made that paper size 8.5 by 11, which tells me on my cut mat, the cut mat that I use, that this is the size that my paper would be. And then this makes it where you won't design outside of your frame. Because what you never want to do is design larger or way too small for what, your paper size. So that's the first thing that you want to do is decide what size paper. Because what if you're using a scrap? For instance, I use scraps all the time. Everybody knows that I am the vinyl scrap collector. So I may have something that's 3 inches. I may have something that's 3 inches by 5 inches. Well, that's kind of weird size. This is what I have to deal with. And depending on how I put it on my mat, I may put it on my mat like this, but knowing me, I would put a 3 by 5 like this, a 5 by 3. I would put it across so that it's able to go into my feeder properly. So this is very important. Make sure your paper size matches the what you will be cutting or printing. All right. So we already said that I print normally on 12 by 19. So let's go back to 12 by 19 since we talked about that. So okay, so 12 by 19. The next thing I want y'all to look at are my print. You got at the bottom, you have print border and you also have a cut border. Cut border, I always leave on. I just always leave cut border on. It is this little red line that goes around. And basically, if I have something that's out, if I design something that's outside this red line, it's just telling me it won't cut properly. So I always leave cut border on, but you could take it off if you are printing or something. If you're just using it for like designing something for sublimation, you don't need a cut border on. But I normally keep my cut border on at all times. And then this is a print border, and this is just telling you that keep your design within here because it's gonna print. But I don't usually keep my print border on either. All right. And the next thing that you have is well, these grid lines. This is called the grid settings. This is a personal preference, y'all. I'm not gonna tell you not to do it. I'm just gonna tell you that I don't normally do it. This says show grids. A lot of people, first of all, when you first download your software to your computer from Silhouette Studio, it is gonna automatically come up with these grid lines. This is how you take them off if you don't want them. The difference between, let me say this, the difference between the regular version and the designer edition is that you see I have a ruler that goes across this top and the side. On the regular edition, they don't have that ruler. At least they didn't used to have that ruler, but I upgraded this years and years ago, probably about 10 years ago now. But so you may want the grids because these grids help you to know where you're at. So inside of like this dark grid right here, grid line, this is 1 inch, this 2 inch, this 3 inches. But I find grids to be very confusing. But you can change the divisions of the grid to make it better. For instance, you see how where it says spacing and divisions? You could change that to 1 inch spacing by 1 inch here. And then that's telling you that each square is 1 inch. If I was to have to use a grid, this would probably be the grid that I would use, but I'm not a gritty person. I hate to say this. And if you wanted to remove the ruler, because actually, in the basic edition, look, it looks exactly like this. So you don't have that ruler across the top and the bottom, but the ruler is my friend, and I truly appreciate it. And that was one of the reasons why I did upgrade my software. So page setup, that is how we set up a page. Oh, let me say this too. As far as this cut mat goes, you don't, with the in Silhouette, you do not have to use a cut mat. It is not necessary. If you're using Silhouette to design for something for sublimation, you do not need a cut mat. If in event you want to remove the cut mat, you could just click on none. And you see how no cut mat is there. But let me tell you this. If you are cutting and you're using a cut mat, then you want to put the cut mat onto the screen. And the reason for that is if let's say I put my material on a cut mat and it looks like this screen. When I cut it out, it's not gonna cut right. It's not gonna cut onto the screen, and everything is gonna be off because my Cameo doesn't know that I don't have a cut mat, if that makes any sense. Let me try to say that a different way because that may have been confusing. Let me do this another way. Let's say I had a cut mat on the screen. All right, so we got the cut mat here. And I forget, and I said, oops, I forgot my cut mat, but let me go ahead and print this out real quick. And I'll load my material straight into my cutter. Well, my cutter is going to think that the cut mat is on there because it's on the screen. And so therefore, it's going to feed in an extra inch or so, and it's going to cut in the wrong place. So be sure that if you're using a cut mat, you use it on the screen, use it on the machine. If you're not using it on one, don't use it on the other. All right, that's the basics for that. So the next tool that I think is important is just writing. So your letter tool. These are your fonts. You can download fonts. What I love about Silhouette Studio the most is that you can download fonts from the internet. But they have this one website called www.defont. And on defont.com, you can literally download any of these softwares for free. So that's what I love about Silhouette. Like whatever font you are looking for, and if you even want to say, let's say I'm saying I want to write caramel curves. I can hit caramel curves, and I can see how it's gonna look written in that font. And this is Defont, DAFONT.com. And you can just hit download, and you can download it to your screen. Let me tell you, this is one small disclaimer. If in a video you download a font from defont.com, you have to completely close Silhouette Studio out. So you have to completely shut down your screen and come back into your screen. If you go to not Silhouette Studio, if you go to defont.com and you download a font and you don't come all the way out to go back in, the font won't come up properly. So just make sure that when downloading a new font, that is something that you do. Let's download something. Like I'm gonna download this font, and I want to show you how easy it is to actually download the font. All you do is click on it and hit install font, and hit and install checked. And now the font is on my computer. Y'all see how easy that was? So this is like one of my major go-tos whenever I'm looking for a nice cool font. In order to get that font, I would have to, like I said, close this whole thing out and come back. We're not trying to do that. What font I want. And then I'll go over to my left hand side and I'll hit text. And that's this A right here. And then I'll just click on the screen one time. And I'm going to type in House of Vinyl. All right. So this is how you create text. Isn't that simple enough? And this text is already a cut file. So that is what you need. There's two ways that you could change your font. One, you can go up to this top here and you can click to change your fonts here. Impact is one of my favorites. Or you can go over here to your right hand side and change your font. I like this right hand side because you can click on one and use your arrow to go down to change the font to different things. So, I'll just be clicking through, find me something that I like and stuff. Y'all know how I do. Let me see. Let's find something real quick. Okay, let's use this script font. I like this script font because it's a couple things I want to talk about with this. So let's make this a little bit larger. So y'all see here where, let me try to zoom so I can show y'all on the screen. All right. So y'all see here how the O crosses into the U and the U into the S. This is very, very, very pretty to do. But when you are when you are cutting this, my suggestion to you would be to weld a file like this. In order to weld, you go up to this tool right here. But I would not weld just yet because there's a couple of tools that I want you to look at first before we weld. Because after you weld, you cannot go and re-edit a font. So make sure that everything is spelled right. Make sure that everything is right before you weld. Because once you weld, you have to start all over again, and that is not fun to do. So there, in this textile box, there are a couple things that I want to show you. One is line spacing. You see how I move line spacing and that vinyl comes closer to the top? This is an important tool to use. You can center the design. Y'all see that? Right where it has this the bold italicized underline, in that middle area, it has like left align, center, right align. You see what I'm saying? So so line spacing is important. The other thing they have that I really like is character spacing. And this is what I was telling y'all. Like, you can change how close you want your letters to be to each other. So that's too close. I would want them probably like probably right here. This is where it was. But I just want to show y'all that these are things that you can do within the software. You can make things further apart, the letters, and actually the sentences, or the line spacing, basically. The other thing is they have this tool right here that is a letter extender, which is right next to the text. It's this little G symbol. I'm not sure if they have this on a regular version, but I know it's on the designer version, and it's also on the business edition. But I like this because when you get a font from online, it comes with all of these additional things. And especially I like it because, let's say for instance, one of my little kids, her name is Kylie, and Kai's name is actually hyphenated. I like this because it usually has special characters. Y'all see how it has this hyphen over the J? You get what I'm saying? So it has all of these extra letters that make it fun to have and use. And then it has these, what they call flourishes. Yeah, y'all see that? Isn't that cute? Let's say that I wanted to use this flourish here. Let's say that if I wanted, I don't even know how this gonna look, but let's say I wanted to use that N right there in the middle. Y'all, oh, y'all see how funky that look? It just changed House of Vinyl. It just took it to a whole nother level just by using that flourish. But this is like I said, in the designer edition and the business edition. I ain't even know it's gonna do all that, y'all. But that's funky. I liked how that looked. But flourishes are fun to use, and it look like you can make them smaller and larger. All right. So, all right. So after you look at your look through your special characters, and you're able to do your line spacing, character spacing, and all of that. And let's say I say, oh, okay, this is perfect. The next thing that I would do would be go to this transform panel. Let me show y'all what this transform panel does. This is a go-to tool. This is one of them things that when designing in studio, you want to like be your friend. Let's say I got this all over here. I'm just gonna move it somewhere just so y'all can see what it does. I can say I want my whole design to be centered. Boom. Oh wait, I gotta click on this side, y'all. And I want my whole design to be centered. You see how it centered it in the middle of my page? Let me zoom out so y'all can see. It centered it right in the middle of my page. Well, you can also center horizontally and vertically also. So meaning that I can move this over to the left, I can move it all the way to the right, I can move it vertically up to the center. Y'all following me? I can move it in that middle. So wherever you want your design to be, you can actually use this tool in order to get it there. I really like this tool. This is the transform tool is something that you should play with. This tool right here is the scale tool. I don't normally use this tool all that much, but let me show you, because this is a personal preference also. The way that I scale is I literally take, because you can see what your dimensions are right here. You see this 7.1 by 7.9? I scale on from the right and left corners of my design. I never scale from the centers. I always say that. I always scale from the sides. And I just pull out and pull in to where I need to be. But I ain't gonna lie, sometimes y'all, when I'm doing that, I can't get it exactly. Let's say I want it at 0.5, 8.5. You see how I'm like skipping over 8.5 or 8.49? If it has to be exactly 8.5 by 7.6 or something, this is where you would do that at. So they have a lock and an unlock. So you want to make sure it's unlocked. And let's say, and I would just put 8.5 by in that one, and I put 7.5 in this one. And it made the design exactly 8.5 by 7.5. But normally I'm not gonna lie, I don't usually use this transform tool, but if you had to use it, that is how to do it. Is to go to the transform panel and go to scale, and then that way you can make it. And then if it has to be this size, I will go ahead and lock that. That way, there's no way that it's gonna be moved. But that is how you use that. Let me see what other tool. It's very, very, very important here. This is why I wanted to show y'all about the weld. Let's zoom in so I can show y'all, because I had unlocked it. All right. So y'all see here where the O and the U, like where it overlaps. Well, if we're cutting this into our vinyl cutter, it's gonna cut like that, and that's not a good cut. If in event we are cutting, we want to click on that and hit this weld tool. What that weld tool does is it makes all of that one flow. So when you're typing, it'll all look together, right? And then you see how now after you welded it, they're in different pieces. When you select the whole thing, they're in different pieces. You could right click, and group that back together. But I don't, like I said, I always, if I gotta weld something, that is the very, very last thing that I do. Because after you weld, you can't re-edit this file. But undo is your friend. Undo is a very good friend of mine. And me and undo go back real far. But no, I will undo this just in case. Okay. Y'all see that? Cool. What's the next tool I want to show y'all? Let's go to this duplicate tool. I like when I'm doing a bunch of different designs on one. Let's say I gotta make 10 of these shirts for my employees. I would click here. Either you could do this one or two ways. You could right click and hit duplicate. But the problem with duplicate that way is that you have to grab it and move it down. We're gonna undo that. I like duplicate over here on this side, which is this. I guess it kind of look like a. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what this looked like. It just looked like 5, 6 points. I don't know. But anyway, whatever this tool is right here, it's the replicate tool. You could duplicate down, up, right, left. I like this duplicate tool because you click on it and it's putting it right below it. Boom, that's easy, right? Or you can say, I need 2. You click on it and say you need 2 going down. And it's gonna put 2. Y'all see that? All right, cool. So this is a cool tool to have so that after you do your one design and you need to stack some images so that you can print out several things, that's where you do it. Other thing that you do here is replica. Let's say you need to mirror something. I'm gonna show y'all 2 ways. I always show you 2 ways to do things, so you got to figure out which one is best for you. I would right click, and the way I mirror is I do a horizontal flip. That's how I normally do that. I'm gonna hit undo so we can go back to the beginning. You can mirror here. I I ain't gonna lie, y'all. I never mirror here, but oh shoot, it mirrored it different. Okay, it mirrors the duplicate. Okay, so see, I learned something with y'all. I'm about to say I just saw Okay, so it replicates a mirror. All right, well, it looks like it'll replicate a mirror to the right, to the left, and down, up and down, just like the other ones. So that's cool. All right. So, and then all these other tools, these are more advanced tools. I do not suggest using these tools right now. I think that these are the main tools that you need. Oh, the color panel. I think that this is important too. Whether or not what color you choose this to be right now, it does not matter. Um, let's say I've been on some green stuff lately, so let's say we made it green. I mean, it that doesn't matter. The only time color really matters on screen is if I guess you designing something and you want to see how it's gonna look in its actual colors, and also if you are printing, if you're doing a print and cut. Oh, speaking of print and cut, let me show you how to do a print and cut. So anyway, this is how this House of Honor will look. If I was gonna send this to Silhouette Studio, what I would do next, I would right click and I would flip horizontally. The other thing that I would do, well, first of all, I would merge it. I would merge the cell. So I would do that first, but I did it after. It's all good. Right click, group it together. The next thing I would do, I would hit send. And this is sending the machine to my Cameo. And as you can see, it says it's unavailable because my Cameo is off. I just turned it on so that y'all can see that it's gonna read. So now it's telling me to load my media. You see how this is all this? I never cut here in simple. I usually cut in fill or in layers. Let's cut in layers. All right. So we cut in layers. I would make sure that you select what kind of material you are cutting because that is super important. I always go to cut whenever I'm cutting. I don't do the auto cut. Just because I've had bad experience with auto cut. I do use the auto blade, but I use the cut feature. And then based on the material that I use would be how I use this dial right here. Under where it says cut vinyl printable use cartridge 1, it has a little dial and that you could click on. You could right, it has an arrow on each side of the dial and you can change your settings. When I'm cutting stuff for t-shirts, when I'm cutting stuff for t-shirts, heat transfer vinyl, like I said, it's always mirrored. So I know that if I'm cutting that type of material, just regular heat transfer vinyl, I'm usually using a 5, and my force is probably around 14, probably 11. I'll probably use my force around 11. Well, 10 is fine, but see, that's what I'm saying. I would do like 11. So that would be for regular vinyl. And then the next thing I would do is I would test cut it to make sure that it cut all the way through my material and that, well, first of all, I would make what you're looking for. Let me start over. What you're looking for in a test cut is that you're not cutting through the plastic carrier sheet and that you are cutting through the actual material itself. So so that's why you want to do a test cut. If in event you don't do a test cut, you will probably mess up a lot of material and you don't want to do that. So always do a test cut to make sure that you are cutting your material properly. It is not worth wasting material. We're not trying to waste vinyl here. We are trying to capitalize on and use our stuff appropriately. Okay. So this is okay. So let me think. What other tool did I miss, y'all? Did I miss anything? Oh, when you are printing, let's say that I'm doing a print and cut. Y'all see, okay, let me see. Let's say we're doing a print and cut. If we're doing a print and cut, you want to go up here to where it says to the page setting again. Remember I told y'all in the beginning we was going to go back to the page. just so y'all could see what it looks like to use registration marks. That third that third little tab is our registration mark tab. We're gonna place our registration marks on. Let me show you what this is. Now we are going to print this out. This would not need to be mirrored anymore. I'll flip horizontally. All right. So whenever you're doing a print and cut, and that's meaning I have this paper called HOV Plus Dark, and you're able to literally cut vinyl out. It's a white vinyl that you could use inside of your inkjet printer, and you can print stuff out and cut it on your machine. It's super cool to use. Um, so the way that you would set up for any type of print and cut, even if it's a sticker or something, is this way. You would turn your registration marks on. I always like my registration marks to be dark, so I always make them the darkest. I know that sounds crazy, but they're always dark for me. And the insert, I make sure that it's like it fits the page. All right, so that's a pretty good insert. I don't know. Let's go here. It just depends on your drawing, what you want your insert to be. But let me tell you this. You see how I have this house of vinyl and this house is outside of this red line? Well, you want to make sure your design stays inside of this red line. Not only does it have to stay inside of this red line, but it needs to stay inside of these grids. So for instance, if I was to print this out, it looks like it's fine, but it's not, because my design cannot touch this grid line either. So make sure that when you're doing a print and cut, you don't have any of your design that touches this red line, these little registration marks, or the grid line. Your design has to be within this entire red space. And if I was only doing this house of vinyl, I would bring this bottom line up too. All right, I went to advanced and bottom insert. You see how I'm bringing that up? I don't know why it's not going all the way up. But it look. Oh, let me see if I change my paper size, because I had 19-inch paper. So let's go. Because the paper size for that paper come in is 11 by 17. That's the largest it come in. So we're not. Let's say we're not using vinyl. We're using our print and cut paper. So I'll push that up to 11 by 17 paper. And I always use a cut mat. So it's a 12 by 24. Registration marks on. The thickness is good. Advanced settings. Left insert, top right. Yeah, that looks fine. All right. So this is how I would do this. Oh, and you see how it's touching right here? You don't want nothing to touch, like I said. So I would put my design right here, and I would print this out. And after it's printed, the only thing that you have to do after it's printed is load the paper onto your cut mat. Okay, this could be a little tricky, but you can do this. When you're doing this, when you load it onto your cut mat and into your Cameo, make sure that this little dot is in the left hand corner. Make sure that this line is in the right hand, is in the right hand side. Make sure that it looks exactly like it does on the screen. Because if you have your paper twist turned a whole nother way, it will not read your registration marks and it will not cut right. So several things to remember when you are doing a print and cut. One, make sure that you're within these red lines. Two, make sure that your design is not touching these grid lines. And three, make sure that you load it onto your cut mat the exact same way as it appears, or you load it into your machine as it appears on this page. All right. There was one other thing that I wanted to show y'all, just as beginners. Let me turn these registration marks off because we don't need them. Boom, we turn them off, and I'm gonna go back to 12 by 19 and a half. And I'm just typing it in and pressing enter, y'all. So this is not no whole lot of stuff that I'm doing. All right. Other thing that I wanted to show y'all, which is a feature that I use all the time. I use this feature all the time. It's called offset. I use offset for everything because sometimes when I'm making things, I'm gonna show y'all on. I'm gonna show you on this design. I'm already here. We're gonna click on this, and we're gonna go right here to this butterfly. It says, "Oh no, not this butterfly. It's offset is the star." Oh yeah, I didn't show y'all how to trace. All right, I got two more things to show you. So the first thing, because trace is like the number one thing that you need to know how to do, but offset is another thing that is really cool, and it basically puts a line around things. So here's your offset button, and what you do, you click offset, and you see how it puts another line around. Whenever y'all see me layering designs, I probably layered using this offset button. So if I was layering, want to do a two color design on this house of vinyl, this is how I would have done it. I don't know. Other people may do it different ways. They have different ways to. I mean, different like corners you can have. This is like a squared off corner, and this is a rounded corner. So if y'all see it, I just click on the rounded. You see how it changed it? Like, look at the H. If I click on the squared off version, I mean, it's going to square everything off as much as it can, but this is to keep it round. So you can change how much or less you do an offset. Usually if I have like a small thin font that I want to like make thicker, I would do it here. But I'm going to show y'all how I outline stuff and do a two color design two different ways. So I'm going to hit apply. Once it does that, what I would do is I'll probably remove this for a second, and I will make all of this another color. Then I probably group this together because all of this is one cut. Then I would bring this back. Y'all see how that looks? It looks, see how pretty that is? So I'm ready for Mardi Gras, right? Right. So that is something that you can definitely do. And the way that I would cut this is, if I was doing adhesive, I probably would just cut this and then cut this. But if I was doing this for my shirt, the way that I would do this is I would cut all of this together one time, and I would weed out this entire green area. Then what I would do is I would remove this purple, and then I would cut this. Allow me to place this house of vinyl right inside of there. So basically what I'm saying is when I'm doing shirts, I don't like to do a whole lot of layering of vinyl. I don't. So I'm gonna show y'all what it looked like. And now I'm making the line color white too. All right. What I would do is I would cut this purple and white out, or this purple out, and I would weed this, everything that was white, I would weed that out. So when you're looking at it, it'll just be like a purple outline on your vinyl. And then I would cut this green out separately on green paper. And then I would just insert this green right in. Oh yeah, hold on. Let me bring it to the front so y'all can see it. I would insert this green right on top. That makes sense? So then if it gives you a flat look on your shirt. But when I'm doing adhesive vinyl, I don't do all of that. I keep it all weeded together. I mean, I keep it all together. I don't weed it, and then I just place it on top. So that's a personal preference. Like, when y'all start playing with your software and stuff, y'all gonna realize what works best for you. The other thing that I want to show y'all how to do is tracing. So I absolutely this is like the first thing that I probably should have showed y'all. But let me show you this tracing real quick. Let's go to Safari, and whenever you're choosing a design from the internet to trace, I would suggest I would type in. Let's say I wanted a puppy, because y'all know I like puppies. Y'all know I love Max. So we did puppy. I would do a puppy silhouette or a puppy clip art. So you always want to search clip arts or silhouettes when you're doing stuff like that. And when you're searching for designs to cut in silhouette. So if you're just starting, try to find images that are in black and white. If we had to put puppy, let's say if we put puppy silhouette. There we go. See, all of these are in black and white, so you know exactly what you're gonna get. Cool. So let's try to find us a puppy that's cute. Let's do him. What is he, like a little Dotson or something? I don't know what kind of dog he is. So the way I would take him is I would right click and I would copy image. So, or y'all could, if it copy image doesn't work for you, I would save image as, right, or save to photos, or however is a good way for you to import the file. And then I would right click and I would paste. So we'll go to this butterfly that is our trace tool, and we'll hit select trace area. When you select trace area, this little, I guess, a little, I don't know, a little stylus come up. What you're gonna do is you're gonna left click one time, hold it down, and drag to select the whole area. Left click, drag. Y'all see? You see how it traced his body? What you're looking for here, I'm gonna zoom in so y'all can see. To make sure you have a good trace, this is your threshold button. Threshold is gonna make sure your lines are crisp. You don't want to go too far because you don't want all them grid lines, but you want to make sure that, like, let me see a bad, like, you see how he look kind of grainy looking. You want to move your threshold where your lines are as straight as they can be. So I think that this is really good at 60, and you'll hit trace, trace and detach, trace. I'm about to zoom back out so y'all can see my whole screen. All right. So now what you want to do is you want to click on the puppy and you're gonna move this puppy out the way because you don't really need him anymore. Really, you could delete him because that's not what you need. Because in order to cut him, you need the cut file, which is this. And this is what stands Silhouette out from Design Space. Like Silhouette Studio, this is what makes you better because in Design Space, y'all people that are using that software, you have to buy these SVG files and you gotta do all of this stuff, and like you always gotta pay. Like we can in Silhouette Studio, you can literally take designs from the internet, copy them, paste them to your software, and trace them. And if you let's keep it gangster, because if you go and you upgrade your software to the business edition, then all you have to do is save this as an SVG and import it right into your Cricut software and cut it. Now that's a thought because I mean, why are we paying for stuff when we already paid for the machine? Let's let this thing work for us. Anyway, let me go because I'm ranting. So you click on this, and I like to make things colors whenever I'm doing images, just because I like to see what it is. So I would probably make him red or black, just so we can see that he looks exactly the same. And as you can see, I'm gonna show y'all the difference because this is a common mistake for my newbies, that when we send this to our cutter, y'all see how this has a black line around it and this one he's always cut out. If you don't trace, this is what you're gonna cut. If you do trace, this is what you're gonna cut, what's in red. So make sure that you trace and you trace well, guys. And we don't need this anymore. Let me see. Let's find something else. Well, that's basically it. That is how you trace. If an event, let's say we wanted to print something though. Let's do that. Let's print something. Let's move him over here. We don't need this one anymore. Let's say we're doing a print and cut. The way to do a print and cut, this is the last thing I'm gonna show y'all. The last thing I'm gonna show y'all for beginners. So y'all see how cute this little dog is? All right, yeah, he's so cute. So we'll copy his image, go back to our software, right click, and paste him into the software. So now that we have this doggy here, if you move him off the frame, you can tell he has a white border around him. In order to remove this border, what you have to do is because we're not going to trace him to cut. We want, well, we do want to cut him out, but we want that white border gone, basically. Detach. In order to do that, you're going to go straight over back to the trace tool, the butterfly tool, hit trace select area, and then we going to, come on, come on, left click, hold, drag, let go. All right. We are going to move our threshold where he is all the way highlighted. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. We're going to hit trace and detach. And what this is going to do is it's going to trace everything in yellow and it's going to detach. But what I don't like about this is, like, the white from his feet didn't go. So what I'll do is I will click here and I would delete this. And then I would select the entire thing, right click, group together, and then I'll move. And y'all see how he is all traced out? Perfect. And let me show you why I right click. I selected the whole thing and grouped it together real quick. I'm gonna do something else, y'all, just so y'all can see. If I move him out the way, oh wait, it did do it. Oh wait, yeah, I may be wrong. Okay, never mind. It traced the whole thing. Okay, well okay. Well, it traced the whole thing. That's perfect. Let's do another one. Let's do another trace and detach. And to be honest, I could print this. Like, I could take this House of Vinyl. Let's say House of Vinyl was about puppies. I can trace this House of Vinyl and I can add him into my design. Yeah, see? And that would be cute. And you could print this out. Like, you could do whatever you want inside the space. And that's the thing, is that once you learn how to use the tools, you can make them work for you in the best type of way. So let's do another trace and detach. I thought that was, like, I don't know. I thought that was fun. I thought that was fun. Copy image. Oh no, let's do this one with the white background. Copy image. We're gonna right click, bring, let's move all of this out the way. We don't need none of this no more. Right click, paste, and you see how we have our dog here. In order to trace and detach, we're gonna do it again. We're gonna select trace area. We're gonna left click, hold, where it's all the way around our little puppy. We're gonna move our threshold. That's too much. We're gonna move our threshold where just our puppy is selected. And you want her to be as yellow as possible. Yeah, I got it. All right. And we're gonna hit trace and detach. I want to show y'all on the screen, like, I'm gonna move it over so I can show you exactly what's happening. Oh, you can't see because this is not all white. We can, because we detached her, we could just move her right out and we removed her entire background. And you could just delete this. We would select that whole thing and delete. And I'm glad I redid it because you couldn't really tell on this one what was happening. But because this white was not all the way white, you could tell. And you could literally put this on a screen and you could print her out and cut her and make her stickers. And the way that you do that, I'm going to reiterate this. You would go, if this was a print and cut, I would go here, go to page setup, and turn the registration marks on and change your paper size. Yep. You need to change your paper size. My sticker paper is 8.5 by 11. So if I was making stickers of her, I would I would do it like that. Mhm. And then the other thing you would do is decide what size you would want her to be. Let's say you wanted 2-inch stickers. I would go from here, and look, y'all, at the top. Remember I told you there's several places you could do stuff from. You could change sizes over here in our transform panel. Remember, you could change the size here, but you also could change the size up here at the top. I'm not quite sure if the regular version you could change the size. The first, the free version, you could change the size up here, but I know for sure you could change it and it's transformed. So if you don't see it up at the top where it says width and height, let's say I wanted these to be 1.5 inches. 1.5 by, well, it can't be 1.5 by 2. 1.5 by, yeah, 2. Y'all see? Let's say I want the sticker to be that size. Yep. And then just utilizing the tools that I showed y'all, we would go to the replicate tool and we would replicate to the right. Y'all see that? And then I go down. I just select all of these and then I'll go down. And now I'm able to, and then these are outside the frame, so I would delete these. And therefore you could go ahead and print these out, print these little guys out. What I would do is I would move this down because I feel like her little head is too close to that grid line. Once you print it out, and then you take that piece of paper and load it onto to your mat. When you die cut in silhouette, it'll look like this. It's gonna cut everything that's in that black, and then you'll have your stickers. So I don't know if y'all have any questions. This is the basics on how to design in Silhouette Studio. I have showed you guys how to use page setup. I've showed you guys how to measure your design, how to transform things, to scale and align, to trace, to offset, to print and cut, and how to add text. So these are like the basic tools. I suggest go ahead and just play around, download the software and play around with it. It is something great to have, even if you do not have a silhouette. I do a lot of designing in here. I definitely always print in here. I always, even with um my sublimation printer, I always put my designs in here and I print from Silhouette Studio. That I hope that this helped you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. Till next time. Bye guys.